Struggling single dad meets mom with 3 kids begging for food. What he learns shocks him. What would you do if your last few dollars were just enough to feed your own child, but someone else's pain called out louder? Before we start, comment where you're watching from, and if this story touches your heart, hit the like button and subscribe to Biker's Hype. Let's spread the light of empathy together. Rain needles the pavement, turning headlights into long, trembling spears of white. The crosswalk signal blinks red, red, red like a patient heartbeat. Michael, early 30s, tired eyes, a careful way of moving, holds a thin paper bag, a loaf of bread, a small carton of milk, and dignity on a tight budget. SFX, the soft drum of rain on his jacket hood. Coins clink, a small, guilty sound. Michael's memory, flash cuts. A kitchen table with an unpaid light bill folded beneath a chipped mug. A calendar with rent due circled twice. A sleeping boy, Jaden, 8, arm around a stuffed dinosaur, mouth open in the peaceful helplessness of a child. A young woman sits half inside the lean shelter, hair soaked to her cheekbones. 2 kids, 5 and 6 maybe, huddle under towels with the vigilant stillness of small animals that have learned the world's teeth. Their silence feels like an agreement with the rain. Michael slows. The city moves around him, indifferent. Umbrellas tilt away from other people's storms. He stops anyway. Michael, soft, careful, I don't have much, but it's warm. He kneels, offers the sandwich, the milk. His hands shake a little, not with fear, but with the nakedness of offering anything when you have almost nothing. The woman's eyes are not pleading. They are measuring danger, pity, angle of escape. She nods, a small suspicious mercy. The boy's fingers, small, cold, decisive, accept the food. The milk passes between their mouths like a whisper they're afraid to use. Michael stands, hesitates, steps back. The rain swallows him as he turns away, lighter and emptier. Behind him the kids eat like they're remembering how. A 1-bedroom painted with determination. Jaden is a sunbeam in a gray sky, tapping a pencil against math homework. Jaden, you forgot bread? Michael smiles, a practiced magic trick that makes absence disappear. Michael changed the plan. Pancakes in the morning. He lies because the truth would bruise the air. There won't be enough for pancakes. He kisses Jaden's forehead. The boy leans in like it's the safest place in the world. Rain taps the window like someone trying to come back from a memory. Michael lies awake. Not regret. A weight like a door half open. No woman, no kids. Only a damp child's glove on the bench, the wrong kind of small. A man, 50s. Careful clothes, careful eyes, stands beside the shelter. Umbrella folded like a secret. Man, she told me you'd come back. Offers envelope. She asked me to give you this. Michael opens it. The handwriting is deliberate, as if each letter costs something. You gave more than food. You reminded me I'm still human. Thank you, no name. Michael stows the note in his wallet like a relic. Clothes piled high. Michael volunteers with a speed that hides impatience. A thin, flowered blanket slips from a box. Faded blue, fraying edges, a small stitched tag. E. His heartbeat stutters. He recognizes it. The little one's shoulders had disappeared beneath those flowers in the rain. He asks the coordinator. There had been a woman, no name, dropped off blankets, eyes like closed doors. Gone. He takes the blanket. It smells like soap and storm water. He folds it as if it were a map. Montage. Michael sits with a paper bag beside him like an offering. People stare, avert their eyes, fail to imagine. He keeps coming back. On the 5th evening, a boy appears, sick, silent, precise. He points at the bag. Boy, that's ours. Michael turns. At the corner, the woman under a hoodie watches, unreadable. Their eyes touch like 2 wires that might spark. She turns away. The boy slips a small note into the paper bag and vanishes after her. Footfalls soft as a secret. Michael opens the note. The same hand. I never meant to involve you. But you saw us. Really saw us. If you want to understand, come to 318 West Haven. Don't tell anyone. He says the address out loud. Not because he needs to remember, but because he needs to hear his life change. Act 3. Rooms that keep quiet. Not a shelter. Not a clinic. A tired church with a spine of stained glass and a courtyard of stubborn weeds. A young woman with a key ring and soft authority gestures Michael down a corridor. They don't ask his name. They don't ask questions that scare away the truth. There she is, the woman from the rain. the kids wrapped in fresh blankets that were once someone else's idea of warmth. She looks up and the room pivots. Up close, she is not young or old. She is the age trauma makes a clock forget. Michael, a breath. Evelyn. Her eyes close just for a second, like a wave turning under. Evelyn, you remember. He remembers a living room 10 years ago. A girl who always sat with her back to the wall. A smile that didn't trust its own reflection. Then he hadn't understood what he was looking at. Now every line in her face is a chapter he didn't read in time. She rolls her sleeve. A tattoo, half faded, half fought. A broken chain looped through an eye. Evelyn, quietly, like saying a curse by its first name. They brand what they think they own. Michael, who are they? She looks at the door like it's listening. Evelyn, men who buy silence, men who sell girls hope like a cheap watch. A pipeline, some uniforms, some churches that forgot God. I was 16. I got out at 24. I changed my name. I tried to make a life. 2 months ago, they found me again. Michael's throat tightens. Michael, why not the police? She smiles without light. Evelyn, because some doors open from the wrong side. A beat. He understands enough to know he understands very little. Michael, what do you need? Evelyn, for once, not to be a problem someone solves. Just someone who won't walk away when it gets complicated. He looks at the kids. The older one studies him like he's a stranger who brought a story and left the ending blank. Michael. Then don't run alone. Her laugh is soft, sore. Evelyn. I don't have the luxury of staying still. They talk while the kids sleep. Small breaths, clean blankets. Evelyn maps the network in the negatives. Places she avoids, names she won't speak. Streets that become traps after dark. Michael listens. He doesn't promise the moon. He promises attendance. Before he leaves, she tucks an envelope under a cracked candle. He finds it in the morning. If you're reading this, I had to move again. I can't stay long, but I trust what you did. Don't follow. At the bottom, a P.O. box number. Not a door. A window. Life continues, lunch boxes, school pickups, the math of survival. But something in Michael has changed. The world moves with more edges. Faces have histories he can almost hear. He begins to show up. Volunteers evenings without announcing it to anyone. Learns how to pack trauma-informed care kits. Drives 3 extra bus stops to walk a woman to a clinic because she won't go alone. Writes Evelyn letters through the P.O. box, never asking for more than she can give. He tells her about the garden he started in a dollar store pot. About Jaden's love for drawing planets. About the blanket with the letter E and how it hangs over the chair like a promise. Some letters go unanswered. Some return with a single line written in that careful script. You're right. Spring does smell like second chances. Your boys joke about dinosaurs made ours laugh. Thank him for the borrowed joy. I found a place to sleep that isn't watched. For now in teen clinic day, Michael talks to an old friend, a nurse. He asks questions with caution wrapped around them. She can't tell him names, but she tells him truths. Nurse, someone came in last week, asked about removing a tattoo. Didn't want to stay. Kept scanning the doorway as if the air could betray her. Michael thanks her. He leaves with a set of pamphlets and a number written on the back of his hand for a group that knows how to pull people from nets without making more knots. EXT. Little League Field. Dusk. Jaden runs bases with that childlike ferocity that belongs to people who have not yet learned to hold back. Jaden, out of breath. Dad. Did she find her home? Michael kneels. How do you explain that home is sometimes a moving target you carry in a pocket? Michael, she's building one brick at a time. Jaden nods, accepts this like children accept the moon. Distant, real. Into Michael's kitchen. Night. He writes again, if you need, I can be a bridge, not a destination. There's a church that won't ask the wrong questions. There's a clinic that won't file the wrong forms. There's me, and I will not make a story out of your pain to feel like a hero. He folds the letter, breathes on the envelope before sealing it, like adding warmth where the world is cold. XTU secondhand store, afternoon. Michael recognizes a face he didn't expect to see again. The careful man with the umbrella, but now without it. He is paying with small bills, counting twice. Michael. Hey, you passed a note once. The man studies him, a doorman deciding if the visitor belongs. Man, you didn't chase her. That's the first good sign. Michael, I don't want to own the story. I want it to end where she writes the last line. The man nods. Offers a card with nothing but a number and a word. Network. Men. There are people who pull threads from the wall without bringing the house down. If she wants, not if you want. Michael takes the card like it's a match and the night is patient. Inti's church evening. He leaves the card with a letter at the P.O. box. He doesn't mention the card in the letter, just the existence of options. Choices can feel like threats after a life of orders. He knows that now. XT city bus night. A reflection in the window. Michael, older by weeks than years. He watches the city fold and unfold in glass. Somewhere out there, a tattoo fades beneath new skin, and children learn the grammar of laughter again. In Michael's apartment, winter. Time advances. He buys pancakes on a Sunday with money he doesn't have to count twice. Jaden draws a comic strip, a dinosaur in a raincoat rescuing smaller dinosaurs from a storm. Jaden. He doesn't have big muscles, Dad. He just shows up. Michael smiles, the rare kind that arrives without effort. Michael's porch, spring afternoon. A letter waits in the mailbox, the handwriting like a familiar voice calling from just outside the door. Inside, a photograph of two kids in front of a small brick house with a garden of brave flowers. The boy is taller. The girl's smile is the kind that takes courage the first time you try it. On the back, a note. We're safe. We're starting over. The house smells like paint and hope. There's a school nearby that listens. If you ever need anything, if the world is heavier than you can carry, we remember. Michael stands on the porch longer than necessary, the letter warm from his hands. The afternoon light makes dust look like constellations. He doesn't cry. He exhales something he's been holding for years, the habit of expecting everything to slip away. He frames the photo behind a plant where it won't be a display, just a private lighthouse. He makes pancakes on a Tuesday because it feels like a holiday inside his chest. Jaden drags a chair to the stove to watch. Jaden, are we celebrating? Michael, yeah. Beat. Sometimes you celebrate when someone else finds home. It makes the world bigger. Jaden nods. He understands more than his years will admit. Inti community room night. Michael sits in a circle. No microphones. No speeches. People who survived, people who helped, people who learned not to confuse those two. He listens. When it's his turn, he speaks without telling her story. He tells his Michael, I thought kindness was a coin you spend. Turns out it's a door you open. Sometimes you don't get to see who walks through, but you leave it open anyway. The group is silent in the way that means we hear you. XT City Street, rain night. It rains again. The city shines in seams. Michael walks home without hurrying. He passes a bus stop where someone sits alone, not asking. He doesn't assume. He lowers his hood, steps closer, and says the sentence that once changed a corridor of his life. Michael, I don't have much, but it's warm. The person looks up. The rain softens, or maybe the world shifts a degree toward mercy. Epilogue. Bridgent. Michael's kitchen. Morning. A small stack of letters tied with string sits in a drawer. Folded notes. Careful handwriting. A P.O. box that became a lifeline, thin as a fishing line but strong enough to pull a future to shore. Michael writes one last note he will never send. You were not a charity. You were a revelation. You taught me that survival can be a duet. If you ever read this in some better life, we kept the door open. We always will. He slides it beneath the bundle. Jaden calls from the hallway, backpack already on. Jaden, Dad, Pancake Wednesday? Michael, Pancake Wednesday. They leave the apartment. The door closes softly like a page turned with care. SFX. The city wakes. Somewhere a garden hose hisses over new soil. Somewhere else a tattoo fades and a scar keeps perfect time with a heartbeat learning a slower song. Fade out. If this story moved you, share it with your friends. Maybe it reminds someone that kindness still matters. Don't forget to subscribe to Biker's Hype for more powerful, emotional biker-themed and human heart stories that change how we see the world.